This is the presentation for Chapter 6, Section 3, Biodiversity. Remember to fill in your notes as we go so you have them available to put in your science notebook, and make sure you pause the video as you need to get all of those notes filled in. So starting with a little learning objective review here for Chapter 6, Section 1, the question we asked was which human activities can affect the biosphere? And we know that some human activities that can affect the biosphere include hunting and gathering, agriculture, industry, and urban development. For Chapter 6, Section 2, we asked how are environmental resources classified? Well, environmental resources are classified as either renewable or non-renewable. And what are the characteristics of sustainable development? Well, sustainable development includes using natural resources without depleting them and providing for human needs without causing long-term environmental harm. So that brings us to today's chapter. Today we're learning about defining biodiversity and explaining its value. So just one learning objective for this section. So the value of biodiversity. Well, first of all, biological diversity or biodiversity is the sum total of the genetically based variety of all organisms in the biosphere. Specifically, ecosystem diversity includes the variety of habitats, communities, and ecological processes in the living world. Then we have species diversity, and this is the number of different species in the biosphere. And genetic diversity. And this is the sum total of all the different forms of genetic information carried by all organisms living on Earth today. So lots of different types of biodiversity, but overall, biodiversity is the sum total of genetically based variety of all organisms in the biosphere. So what? Why is this important? Why is biodiversity important? Well, biodiversity is one of Earth's greatest natural resources. The species of many kinds have provided us with food, industrial products, and medicines, including painkillers, antibiotics, heart drugs, antidepressant, and anti-cancer drugs. So these are all created by the different organisms, different species of plants and animals and fungi and protists that live on Earth. So, if it's so important, what are these threats to biodiversity? What's happening? Well, human activity can reduce biodiversity by altering habitats, hunting species to extinction, introducing toxic compounds into food webs, and introducing foreign species into new environments. So what happens with these human activities, with people moving and growing and planting and different industries popping up here and there and factories and the pollutants that inhabit things, all of this different activity reduces the biodiversity, it reduces the species, it reduces the availability of these organisms, and we're no longer able to have these foods, the products, the different medicines, because the species and organism necessary to provide those are no longer around. What happens is we get something called extinction, and this occurs when a species disappears from all or part of its range. A species whose population size is declining in a way that places it in danger of extinction is called an endangered species. And as the population of an endangered species declines, the species loses genetic diversity, which then is going to inhibit the species from producing and making more, reproducing, and being able to reestablish the species as a whole. So it's very, very dangerous to get rid of some of these things, because then we're going to run out of that natural resource that we have, like I said, for those those different foods and products and medicines. To summarize for this quick little lesson for Chapter 6, Section 3, what is biodiversity and how is it valuable? Well, remember, biodiversity is the sum total of the genetically based variety of all organisms in the biosphere. It's valuable because it is one of Earth's greatest resources and have provided us with food, industrial products, and medicine. This is the end of the note presentation for Chapter 6, Lesson 3. Make sure you rewind and get all the notes filled in if you need to, and have them ready to put in your science notebook. See ya!